Good morning. How's everybody doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. Voyak, let's not break tradition. Get us started here. Let's roll.
So at this point, what do we know about Oregon State?
We've buried our head in films. Gary Payton's really good. His son, GP2 as they call him, is tremendous. He makes him go, plays at different tempos. Really good player. Stevie Thompson's a good shooter. They've got a really good big who can shoot, 6'10" kid who can pick and pop and shoots it well. So we're going to need to guard three-point line well. Payton just does a great job. He's a big physical guard, two-time Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year. Rebounds, as good a rebounding guard as we've seen all year. So they're a good team. They change their defenses up, play some man, play some zone. Their coach, man, he runs really good offense. As good as stuff as we'll see all year. They remind me a lot of St. Bonaventure. That's the team they remind me the most of that we've played this year. They're a little bit of a step up in terms of some of their big guys from St. Bonaventure. Their bigs are better than Bonaventure's, but the guard play and the offense that they run and the way they we start on time here, Paul, and the way that we run things. 11:32. The way that we run things. But the way they run things, they run similar offense to those guys, so it'll be similar to that.
Just looking at the roster, I think I saw 6 guys that are 6'10" or taller, and they have a 7-footer. I know that you said when you played Florida State.
Yeah, they're different. They're totally different. They're not. They play 3 of those guys, and they're totally different. Than it's a different animal than Florida State. They're not as big at the guard spots. They're not as strong at the guard spots. The length on the perimeter bothers us more than the length inside usually. If you look at the teams we've struggled with, they've had big perimeter players, bigger guys on the perimeter that have hurt us. Cincinnati being able to switch everything. Those type teams have bothered us more than necessarily just huge bigs inside. So their bigs are true bigs inside.
Coming off the stretch, we played 3 games in 3 days, have a little bit of downtime and travel. Is there any difference to how you approach this week, or do you try to keep it the same?
We'll stay in our routine. We took yesterday off. Today we'll do some shooting and some film work, introduce Oregon State to our guys, and then do some more treatments. And then tomorrow we'll be in our normal 2-day out prep. So it'll be pretty much a normal week. We had the same thing last week. Basically, we played on Saturday, took Sunday off, and then practiced and get ready for Friday. So we practiced pretty hard last week. I think it showed a little bit in that Sunday game. We practiced really hard trying to get ready for the tournament and put ourselves in position. So I think it worked, and this week we're going to dial it back a little bit, but still get done what we need to get done as we move towards Friday afternoon.
Coach, I would imagine that the emotional level is pretty high right now, just the excitement of being in the NCAA tournament for you guys.
Yeah, our guys are excited. I mean, you can't ever take it for granted. So, I mean, our guys are very excited to be there, and going to Oklahoma City, they'll enjoy playing when we get there in the arena where the Thunder plays. It's another arena we can cross off the list. This will be like our 4th NBA arena we've played in this year, I think. So it'll be a good experience. I've never been to Oklahoma City. I've been a lot of places. I've been to Tulsa and some other places in Oklahoma, but I've never been to Oklahoma City. So be a good experience, and our guys are excited about it and getting ready to get on the plane tomorrow and head out.
How beneficial is the extra day?
Very beneficial. We needed it. If we'd had to play, goodness gracious, if Memphis had won, we'd have had to go to Dayton, and that would have been I told Ed, our athletic, I told him after the game, I said, if we have to go to Dayton, we're gonna probably be one and done. It's gonna be tough because we're not gonna have everybody back by then, full strength. So we needed the break bad, and Thursday would have been fine, but Friday's even better.
How's Melvin, and do you expect him to be 100%?
Yeah, I think he will be. He looks pretty good. We're going to dial back what he does this week. He works so hard and has put so much into it. We can dial it back a little bit this week, and he'll still be fine. So we're we're going to dial that back, and I expect him to be, 95 to 100% when we take the court on Friday.
I know you did your scouting report on Oregon State, but did you get a chance to talk to Corey about what he knows about the Beavers? I think he's
He played them, yeah, but they're a lot different than when he played them. He played them at Oral Roberts last year, but they're a different team than when he played them. So I've talked to him about Oregon State, about how to handle tickets and going home and that sort of thing. So we've had some discussions on all those topics.
Do you see Mo as a much improved offensive player this year?
Yeah, I think he is. He needs to be for us. But, he's worked at it. We've worked on his skill level a little bit, gotten him better down there. We need him to be. We feed him the ball more. He shoots almost 60%, I think, from the field. What does he shoot, 56%, 57%? Huh? So 60%. I was right on the nose. Anytime you get somebody who makes it 6 out of 10 times, it's pretty good numbers down there. So, he's worked hard at it. We put him in good positions, and he's able to finish.
What type of drills did you do, and did you do it? Did an assistant coach work with him?
What do you mean? When I was an assistant here?
No. What type of drills did you do with him?
Oh, just a bunch of post stuff. And
was it you? Was it an assistant?
I did some of it. My assistants did some of it. I work mostly with our fives, so I do a lot of the work with him at Hamdi myself. One of my assistants works with the fours. One of my assistants works with the wings. One of my assistants works with the point guards. That's kind of how we break it down when we're in practice. I did some of it. My assistants did some of it. But he's the one who did it. We just set the roadmap. He's the one who's got to walk the trail.
What was the roadmap?
Just, hey, we're going to go to you, and here's where you're going to catch the ball. Here's the moves we need you to make. Here's where we need you to be able to score the ball from, and let's go to work, and let's get better in these spots, and he's done that. His left hand's gotten better. That's been critical. He's developed some counter moves, which has been good. We still need him to post deeper.
Yeah, I was using my towel when I walk up to you.
Yes, yeah.
My vapor fluid.
Yeah.
And one of the things Mo talking about.
That's nice.
It's counter moves. If the first move is stop, now it's counter moves. So
We worked on that, yeah, just giving him, you got to have different bullets. You have different weapons. So, we're giving him different things to do if they take away the primary move. And he's now got those. He's got a couple counters. He's got a couple things he can go to when they take away primary moves. But he's the one who's worked on them and put the time in with it.
It says ideal range.
He can actually shoot it. I'm going to mess around in the offseason, putting him and Hamdi out there together some, him and Tillman out there together some, playing him some at the 4. He can do some. He's an agile, really good athlete, can really move. So, we'll mess around with that in the offseason. He can shoot it. He was tired he was really worn down on Sunday. We've ridden him pretty hard most of the year, and he was pretty worn down. He's a good free throw shooter. He's a good shooter. He's got good touch. He can do some things. We're going to have to we'll expand all that. We've got some time to do that in the offseason. Now's not the time. Now we need to pound it in the paint.
What adjustments do you guys have to make defensively? It looked like St. Joe's had a lot
Play
of
better.
real drive.
Play better. We just got to play better. We were just tired. We were steps slow. There's no real adjustments. We had the right idea. We just didn't play well. We guarded the other two pretty well. So, we guarded the other two really, really well. And we guarded Dayton really, really well at Dayton. We guarded George Washington really well. We guarded Davidson really well here in the home game. It just let us down. But I would say if you look at the last 6 or 7 games, that's the only time it's let us down. So we got to get back and get a little bit better. And they present some challenges for us. They have 2 of the 5 best players in the league. And anytime you've got 2 of the 3 best players in the league on the court, look at the Warriors. Every time they show up, with the exception of maybe when they go to Oklahoma City. That's why Oklahoma City is probably the only team in the West that could maybe beat them. Because every time they show up, they've got 2 of the 3 best players on the court, period. Every time. Oklahoma City is the only team that can make an argument that may have 2 of the 3 best. And so when you show up and you get 2 of the 3 best players on the court, the odds shift dramatically in your favor. Most nights we have that. Sunday we didn't.
Do you plan to have any sort of interaction with Shaka Smart?
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see each other. We've texted. I think our hotels are a little bit apart, but I'm sure we'll bump into each other. I think they play the late game though Friday night. I don't know exactly what time they play, but yeah, I'm sure we'll see each other somewhere. Yeah, we will see each other. We'll see each other at the meeting. You have a meeting you got to go to with the athletic directors and coaches and everybody, and so I'll see him there for sure.
Coach, this is not your first NCAA tournament overall, but your first as a head coach. Different sense. How is that different in terms of feel and emotion?
I mean, you got to prepare the same way. Work and prepare the same way. It's no different than what we do in the regular season. What we did to get here was good enough to win 24 games and won 19 out of our last 24 games. So we just need to do what we do, and we'll be okay. You can't put too much emphasis. I mean, you just got to do what you do at a high level. And I really think getting off to a good start's key. I think teams who get off to a good start in these type games really have an advantage. So we're going to really stress spreading out of the gates here, getting off to a good start.
How much is it an advantage with that in mind that you guys have been every year?
It helps. I mean, we got guys who have experienced it. You know, we need to get back to winning. And we hadn't won one in a couple of years. I think Mel's the only one who's won a game when we clubbed Akron a couple of years ago. But you know, we need to get back to winning. It's a good feeling when you win one of them things now. Real good feeling. So we need to get back to that. That's our focus this week.
For most coaches, pressure is self-imposed. There are high expectations here. Did you feel any relief to get into the tournament?
Oh, I'd be lying to you if I said no. Yeah, heck yeah, I did. Yeah. I mean, you didn't want to break the streak this year. I mean, these first couple years were going to be the hardest to keep everything going. And we still won 24 games. Us and Kansas, only 2 schools in the country the last 10 years to win 24 games. We kept the NCAA streak alive. It was at 11. Now it's at 8 teams, I believe, that have gone 6 straight years. So obviously a couple teams fell off. I mean, there's a sense of relief. Yeah, there's a sense of relief that we didn't drop the ball and we were able to keep it going, because it certainly could have gone a lot of other directions for us. So, absolutely. I mean, it's just human nature.
I know this, when you talk to us about the fact that it's the us against the world type of mentality the second half of the season, can you still use that against Oregon State? I know some have you guys winning that game against the Beavers.
Oh, I haven't seen that. But I don't watch a lot of the prognostications either. So, I mean, I don't know. They're the 7th seed. We're the 10th seed. We're the underdog. If you look at the numbers there, pretty obvious there. But I mean, you know, we just need to play well and do everything we can to win a game. I mean, the freshmen, sophomores, and juniors have never won a game. I mean, Mel and I and Coach Rasheen Davis, my assistant, we're the only 3 people in the room who've won a game in the tournament. So we need everybody we need to do everything we can to try to win. I mean, I think marks of consistent programs are 2 ways. I mean, really, conference tournaments are crapshoots. I mean, those are crapshoots. It's 3 days. A lot of crazy things can happen. I think marks of really good programs are teams that dominate in the regular season in their league. Like if you think back to the A-10 when Xavier jumped to the big, I mean, Xavier dominated this league. They won the regular season title every year, shared it, were right up there, you know. So I think if you can really own your league in the regular season, that's a sign of a really good program. And if you can win games in the NCAA tournament, where it is a crapshoot as well, but you can win because it's a lot of 50-50 games. This is pretty much a toss-up. It's a 50-50 type game between us and them. And so if you can win those type games, I think that's what separates your program. And we were co-champions in the regular season, which is a big deal. We've never done that in Atlantic 10. And if we could be co-champions and make it to the conference final and win a game in the NCAA tournament, or more than one game, this season would be our season's already been highly, highly successful, but it would be a smashing success if that happened. Beyond smashing success, let's put it that way.
Having looked at the tape now, is there a matchup that you think plays in our favor, or anyone that could
Oh, I'm not going to tell you that, Mike. Certainly, there's some areas that you know they've got some advantages. There's some areas where we've got some advantages. So they'll try to pick on us, and we need to pick at their areas where we can take advantage. But they're a good team. They're very, very, very well coached. He does a very, very good job. In fact, I'm going to try to pick his brain after the season on some of his offensive stuff. I've got to get his cell phone number when we're out there because he's really good, really, really good.
How deep do you think you'll go after looking at that on the bench?
Play 8 or 9 guys. 8 for sure, 9 depending on how one of them practices this week. You can guess. I'll give you 3 guesses. First 2 don't count. Yeah, we got more. Come on. I've only been doing media all morning. He's had my schedule booked since 9:15 this morning, but it's okay.
You touched briefly about Corey. How do you try to control his emotions going back home and playing his first tournament game in front of many friends?
Yeah, I've really tried to narrow his you know, he's got a lot going on in life, period, with 2 kids. I mean, he's got a lot going on in life. So we've spent a lot of time this year trying to help him organize his time, organize his thoughts, organize how he goes about things. I've met with him, you know, every week to kind of try to help him through all that stuff. So, you know, we met yesterday. He's actually going to come by my office when I get done here, and we're going to talk about, you know, he had to have his tickets done by today. Everything was done by today. He used to have no communication with certain folks after today, and we just got to lock in and do what we do. So, I think he'll be fine. I know he's beyond excited. I've got to get him to calm down and focus at the task at hand as opposed to worry about all the hoopla. That's the one good part about the experience. Our guys are used to having to deal with the media stuff, and you know, we had to do the meeting yesterday on the different policies and gambling, and as you know, our guys are used to that. But it's all new to him. You know, like a kid in a candy store. So, you know, we got to get him to focus at what we're doing. But he was focused yesterday when we came in, and I know he'll be focused today. He's playing at a really high level right now, so that's a good thing.
Different question. St. Bonaventure isn't in, Monmouth isn't in, Vanderbilt's in, Texas Tech is in. Do you think it's easy to look at an A-10 or CAA or other league and find reasons not to put a team in, and it's easy to look at, say, those power conferences and say, oh, here's why.
Yeah, I don't know the resumes of all those other schools. I am very familiar with St. Bonaventure's. I can speak to them in the Atlantic 10. I think they should have been in, and I think they should have been in relatively comfortably. And I think our league was underseeded too. I mean, the Americans behind us by just about every metric, and they got 4 in. And so I don't quite understand how that works. But I'll say this in regards to what you're getting at. I think a team that goes 3-4 against the top 50 or top 75 is a lot better than a team that goes 3-9. If you have 12 opportunities, it should be based on the percentage of the opportunities that you convert. I mean, if you have more cracks at it, you're just going to get a higher number. If you don't have as many cracks and still get the same number that somebody who has more cracks at it gets, that's more impressive to me than the person who had all this time to get all these wins. And the other thing that's flawed about the whole deal is, like, we have 2 supposed bad losses, all right, George Mason and UMass on the road. Those are games that, if you look at the KenPom predictor, we should win 80 to 90% of the time if you look at his schedule. Well, that means in those 200-plus games, you're going to win, or 150-plus games, you're going to win 80% of those. Well, guess what? That's what we did. We won 80% of them, or darn near 80% of them, and they try to hold that. Well, that's just the percentages. Like all these teams get credit for beating let's say a top 30 team at home. All right, beating a top 30 team at home. So let's say we beat Duke. We played them here, which would never happen, obviously, but we played them here. We beat Duke here. All right, us beating Duke here is the same thing as us beating Florida State, who was in the 60s at a neutral site, which would be the same thing as us beating somebody that's 90 to 110 on the road. But the committee only gives you credit for the win against, I mean, it was clear to me what we need to do in scheduling. I called our scheduling guy. We talked on the bus because we have one more game left. I said, we have to go play the best possible team we can possibly find. And if we can get somebody to come here, we need to play them here because they don't give a damn where we play them. They really don't. They don't care where we play them. And we need to give ourselves the best possible chance to beat the best possible team we can find. Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like we beat St. Joe's on the road. That was a top 30 road win. We got some credit for that, but at the end of the day, we would have gotten the same amount of credit for beating them at home as we did on the road. And so what I'm saying is, those other teams had so many opportunities and they squander them, but their number, they can say, oh, well, they had 4 top 100 wins. Yeah, they had them 4 top 100 wins in 18 chances. Another team had 4 top 100 wins in 10 chances. That's pretty good. That's better than the 18 chances, but they don't look at it that way. And they don't see the metrics like they're supposed to.
Yes, once the non-conference schedules part of the season's over, you don't get to play Duke, North Carolina, Virginia.
Now, our league helped us. Let's be honest. We didn't have a great non-conference. Now, we did beat North Florida, who ended up winning the regular season in the Atlantic Sun. We did beat Middle Tennessee on the road, who won Conference USA's tournament and was the 2 seed. We beat Old Dominion, who played for Conference. I mean, Buffalo, we beat, who won the MAC. I mean, so we beat some good teams. Now, if we'd have beaten Cincinnati at home, which was right there in our grip, if we'd have beaten Wisconsin on a neutral court, that's the difference now. If we'd have won one of those games, we're probably a 7 seed. If we'd have won both of them, we're probably a 6 or 7 seed. You know, I mean, the margins are slim, but we're going to have 3 neutral court opportunities next year at the Battle for the Atlantis. You know, we got Georgia Tech coming back here. We got Middle Tennessee coming back here. Those are good games, but the Atlantis, those games in and of itself, like, I got to go get us another good game. Like, we have to go get another good game now. And that was the message I got, is you better schedule. I mean, I think we did get credit for our schedule. At the end of the day, I think, you know, but it's easier for us. It's easier for us. It's not easy for St. I mean, we'll get a pretty good Big East team or we'll get somebody to come here. Or we'll go play somebody on a neutral court like Florida State who's pretty good. We'll go get that. The problem is St. Bonaventure can't go get that. They can't go get that. I mean, it's just the reality of the situation. Us and Dayton can go get that. The rest of our league, it's a struggle. But you can't hold that against them. You can't hold that against them. St. Joe's played the best schedule. They played Temple at Temple. They played Florida and Old Dominion in a neutral site at a tournament. I mean, put the best schedule together they could possibly put together. And St. Bonaventure did the same thing. They played a ton of road games. You know how hard for an A-10 team, an upper-level A-10 team to play as many non-conference road games as they play, that's impossible. They have to play a bunch of home and homes. They don't have the money to buy a bunch of games. They got to play at Siena, which is a tough place to play. They got to play at these places, which is not easy to do, and you know, they don't get credit for that when all these other teams are just beating folks at home. I was talking to a friend of mine in the ACC yesterday. He was complaining because one of their teams bought 9 home games. He said, we can only buy 6. I said, there's tiers within your league, buddy. He said, you better go find some more money. I mean, that's the truth. There's teams in the ACC that are buying 5 and 6 home games, and there's teams in the ACC that are buying 8 and 9 home games. There's a big difference. You're just going to win them more. It's like when we bought Northern Iowa here 2 years ago. You got a better chance. It's a great team. They're a great team. But you got a better chance to beat them at home. If you can buy a team like that, you can skew the numbers. But what my point is, if VCU, or let's not use VCU, if Virginia buys Northern Iowa and beats them at home, people gush over that. Let's say Northern Iowa was what they were 2 years ago, a top 25 win. But if St. Bonaventure goes on the road to Siena, a borderline top 100 team, and wins, it's pretty much the equivalent, but it's not seen that way. Does that make sense? And Bonaventure can never get, they could never buy Northern Iowa. The best they could do with them is a home and home, but they could probably never buy Northern Iowa. And it's not fair. It's not fair because they don't get the same amount of credit for what happens.
Well,
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Am I clear about what I know I've rambled here, but am I clear about how this thing works? I can manipulate. Here's the thing. I can't manipulate the numbers here at VCU because I can only buy a certain number of games. All right? I've got a budget on what I can buy in games. It's a good budget, but it's not great. It's a good budget. I can't manipulate the number of games that those ACC schools can manipulate. But I'm in a better position than probably everybody in our league but Dayton and maybe St. Louis. You guys understand? So I got probably top 3 position in our league to do that. But I'm still way behind those other guys. And so we're still fighting an uphill battle with those other guys too. It's just a different battle. And it just drives you crazy to watch somebody like Bonaventure, who's got even more of an uphill battle than we do what they can do, everything that they can do, and it not work out for them. And they've got a great team with great guards, and great guards winning the NCAA tournament. And Posley's unbelievable. You know what I mean? So there's just tiers to everything. There's tiers in our league. There's tiers between us. And, you know, I'd love to buy 8 home games. Our fans would love it. Fans would love it. You buy eight home games. You schedule a home and home with somebody. You play in an exempt tournament, and you wrap your schedule up. Pretty easy. I mean, I finished my schedule. You give me from 8 a.m. till noon, and I could get a schedule done in a day. I'm serious. I could finish it in one day. Give me 4 hours in a day, and I could finish it. All right? But, I mean, that's what some of those schools are doing. I'm not going to name a school. There's a school from the ACC and the NCAA tournament that's what they did. They played a horrible non-conference schedule. They bought all these teams. They played one home and home. They played in an exempt event. That was their 12 or 13 non-conference games. And then they went 9-9 in the league. And they waltzed in. We're safely in. And that's not, I mean, it's just not, you know, I can't do that here. I'd love to. I'd love to play 8 non-conference home games. Can you imagine if we played 8 non-conference bye games plus a 9th in a home and home, maybe a 10th even in a home and home in some cases, but a 9th in a home and home, and then played, you imagine if we played 18 games in here? I mean, at minimum, I mean, I'd have to be an idiot now. I'm going to back myself in a corner here, but at minimum, I'm going to go 15-3 at home. I mean, we went 16-2. We would go 15-2 this year at home, 14-2, something like that. I mean, you're just going to win more of them. So if I start off, before I even know the season, I'm going to start off 15-3 or 16-2, then I can dig out a couple road games in league. Not that hard. But we can't do that. We got to play the neutrals. We got to go on the road to some people. You know, like next year, we got to return a game to Liberty. I got to go on the road to Liberty next year. All right? That's a tough game. It's a tough game. There's nobody else that has to do that. In a perfect world, I'd have just bought Liberty this year and we'd have been done with it. But we were out of money for the budget. So you have to start a home and home with somebody. And so we got to go to Liberty. We got home and home with Old Dominion, which is a rival, which is great. But in a perfect world, we just buy Old Dominion. Although they don't get bought as much. Or just cancel it and go buy somebody else and play. Now, our fans wouldn't like that. I understand it. But if we're talking strictly about getting to the NCAA tournament, it makes no sense. Makes no sense. Now, it's a great rivalry. Trust me, I want to play Old Dominion. I love them. It's a great rivalry. It's great when we go down there. But the reality is, it's just like Richmond. When we play Richmond or when we play Old Dominion, those guys are extremely excited to play us. No matter what their numbers say, it's a harder game for us to win than anybody else who they play that year. You guys go over there and cover those teams some. They're more jacked up when they play us than when they play other people. Is that a fair statement? Would everybody agree with that? It's a fair statement. So we don't get credit. Like, we beat Richmond twice this year and won that game over at Richmond. We get very little credit for that because they were out of the top 100 in the RPI and all that stuff. That was a brutal game to win. But if we'd have gone to Selection Sunday with that on our resume, they'd have said bad loss. They almost beat Dayton there. Dayton needed an escape job from Scoochie Smith to win by 1. You understand how that works? I mean, that's a tough game for us. But the non-conference part I can control, but I can only control so much because of the way things are. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to, like, we have good resources here. I'm not saying we don't have good resources. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you've got to understand there's a gap. There's a big gap, and there's a gap within the ACC. There's a gap between, let's say, it wasn't who I was talking to, there's a big gap between Boston College and some of those other teams. There's a gap between what Boston College can do. I haven't looked at their schedule, but I guarantee if you look at their schedule, they played more road games or neutral games or couldn't buy as many games as some of those other guys. So Bonaventure gets penalized because of that. Follow-up, sorry.
Follow-up would be, and I know you're probably not familiar with Monmouth, but Monmouth won at UCLA, beat Notre Dame, beat Southern Cal on a neutral court. Those are nice wins for them. You get down into their conference schedule, they lost to Canisius, they lost at West Point. I'm sure within the conference, those are tough games. When the committee looks at that.
Army's not in their conference. Army would have been non-conference.
Okay.
Army's in the Patriot. But I'm just, yeah, I know what you're saying, though.
Playing at Army.
Yeah, playing at Army's not easy.
Right. So
Coach Spiker's a good coach.
If you're looking at the whole body of work, you say, well, it's nice that they beat UCLA, but look, it's nice to beat Notre Dame.
Here's the thing. It's a good point, but here's the thing. So if we played their conference, they can't change what conference they're in. They're in the MAC. Good league. They had 2 bids a couple years ago. Iona got in the play-in game as a 13 a couple years ago. So in the MAC, they can't control their league schedule. In the MAC, there happens to probably be, I don't know, how many games did they play against 200 and below?
I don't know.
They probably played 6 to 8 against 200 and below in their league, if I were guessing. All right? The numbers say you're going to lose, you're going to win 80. If you're a really good team, you'll win 80 to 90% of those. So if you played 10 of them, you're going to go 8-2 or 9-1. They have more opportunities against 200 plus and below. They probably hit right on the number of what they should have hit on, if I were guessing. I don't know. In the ACC, all you've got is Boston College dragging it down, really. Right?
Wake Forest.
Maybe Wake. Or 200 and below. So, yeah, the ACC team could go 4-0 against 200 and below, but they may have only, or 2-0, but they may have played Wake and BC at home, where if they go to, well, not BC, they didn't beat anybody. But if they go to one of those, you understand what I'm saying? If all those ACC teams played 10 200 and below teams, most of those middling ACC teams that we're talking about bubble teams, not Virginias and all the elite teams, all right? We're not talking about those guys. We're talking about the bubble teams, the Pittsburghs, the Syracuses, those guys of the world. If those guys played that many, their numbers would be the exact same. They'd be the exact same. But they're able to cover it better because they don't get exposed to those games. You understand what I'm saying? And they don't get exposed to those games, and they hardly ever get exposed to those games on the road, which is where you drop them. Which is what we did. We dropped 2 between 150 and 200. On the road, on games that every person would think we should win. But that, statistically speaking, we pretty much did what we were supposed to do based on the numbers with the team we had, based on the numbers that we played. Now, truth be told, if we win one of those 2 games, we win the league, and we're not even talking about the Dayton game. So it stinks. But that's how it works.
Well, 2 things. I'm glad you brought up Pitt. If you're looking at Monmouth, and you say, well, look what they did to non-conference ballot.
I don't know these resumes very well now. I'm just talking in generalities. Tim, you're loving this, huh?
And so,
As long as you got time afterwards, I'm allowed it.
and so you've got Monmouth does this in the non-conference, then they have a couple of stinkers in their conference and maybe 1 non-conference game. Then you look at Pitt, who you have to say they're kind of a middling ACC team. They should be on the bubble. You look, if you're on the selection committee, human nature says, hey, look, Pitt beat Duke. That's a really good win. Pitt deserves to be a level above.
Where did Pitt beat Duke?
They beat them at Pitt.
At Pitt. So they beat Duke at Pitt.
But they beat.
Did Monmouth beat somebody who was 100 on the road? I'm sure they did.
Well, yeah, they beat Notre Dame.
UCLA was like 110 on the road. Numerically speaking, them winning at UCLA is the same as Pitt beating Duke at home.
But at the end,
I'm just telling you.
But like you were in the, with that UT Chattanooga, you know, it's mostly, it's a one bid league for most of the time. They don't win the tournament.
Always there.
You kind of are at a disadvantage. It seems to be unbalanced in that regard.
It
The other
is.
thing I would say is George Mason was a bad loss, but it really wasn't. If you follow the A-10 closely and follow George Mason and what the guy's doing out there, what Paulson's doing, it's not that bad a loss, because as you watch George Mason go through the season, they got incrementally better as the season
No
went
doubt.
on.
There's no doubt about that. I'm not saying I don't think it was. I mean, it was a hiccup, but it wasn't like the end of the world losing to them. They've been playing better. You know, they've been beating people up there. I mean, LaSalle beat Dayton and St. Bonaventure at home. I mean, that stuff happens. Stuff happens. It's tough. It's tough. So, but there's an inequity with the way everybody operates, and everybody needs to be looked at in an equitable way. You can't go crazy over Pitt beating Duke and then throw away the fact that Monmouth won at UCLA. Which, by the way, Monmouth won at UCLA. I believe Kentucky lost at UCLA this year. I believe there's some other teams that lost at UCLA. So it's not like that's just you just chalk it up and it's an easy win.
Does that change your thought process of non-conference scheduling?
I just said that. Yeah. I mean, one, we need more money to buy games. That would be one thing. If we could get more money to buy games, that would help. And two, we got to go play. I mean, we've got one game left to schedule for next year. And I told my scheduling guy, just hold off. We were going to do something. I said, hold off. But, like, we've got to get out of the point where we go to Liberty. And we've had to go to East Tennessee State in the past. We've had to go to Winthrop in the past. We got to get out of the point where we're doing that. If we're going to continue to – and Ed and I will talk about that after the year. I'm not sharing anything that he doesn't know. But, I mean, you know, what we're buying now, the gap is widening between what other folks are buying. And the gap's widening within the ACC. And if the gap's widening within the league, we've certainly got to keep up with the middle to top tier of that league, because that's really who we're competing with. We're not the Dukes and Carolinas. They kind of do what they do. But we've got to compete with the Pitts, the Virginia Techs, the Wake Forest, the Georgia, like the scheduling part, all that. Like, that's who we've got to compete with. But they're not on a level playing field. Like, how many other, and this is no knock, but how many other ACC teams? Wake Forest played a home-and-home with Richmond, right?
They played for years, though.
How many other ACC teams would play that? It's hard to get them to do it. Virginia played a home-and-home with us, played a home-and-home with George Washington. It's hard to get those top teams to do it. I was in charge of scheduling when I was at Clemson. A bear. We almost played a home-and-home with Gardner-Webb because we had to get a game and we didn't have any money left. I've never forget I was on the phone with Rick Scruggs. He was trying to tell me how nice Boiling Springs is. I'm going, Coach, it's not that nice. You know, he's a convincing dude, but it's not that nice. So, you know, there's different levels. I mean, we played Charleston Southern in the North Charleston Coliseum when I was at Clemson. They've done a home-and-home with Coastal Carolina. Auburn did a home-and-home or 2-for-1 with Coastal Carolina. I mean, those teams, you know, Auburn's not scheduling the same way Kentucky is.
Don't you have a home-and-home coming up with Texas?
Yes, we can't wait.
All right, guys, I gotta wrap it up.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Entertaining.